to the PHNX Mercury podcast. I'm Saul. This is Aiden, as you all know. We're having better success here in the studio than the Mercury are having on the road. I know that's for sure.
We're at least consistent.
Yeah, we are. Well, last week we missed the show. So maybe
more consistent than they are.
This is true. This is facts. We're going to talk about why they struggle on the road. We're going to talk about Megan Gustafson and her seemingly turnaround of late. And we're going to talk about, obviously, DT's getting closer to a phenomenal milestone that has not been crossed in the WNBA yet. So we're going to get to all that. But let's start off with the road. I'm going to switch it up on you a little bit. The Mercury dropped another one yesterday to the Chicago Sky. It wasn't really close. They cut it to single digits here and there, and really in the third quarter, it looked like maybe, but the Sky were just hitting far too many threes. Yeah. They were killing them just about everywhere. Offensive rebounds abound, which has been a common theme for the Mercury all season long, that they just have not been able to control the glass, and it just led to a blowout, basically, again on the road. What was your overall assessment of this?
It sucked. It was bad. Yeah. It was ugly. It was nasty. It was disgusting. Like, every word you could think of, like, along those lines, that's how I would describe it. It was like, and here's the thing, though. They scored 85 points. Like, they had a good offensive game.
That's great.
But
you don't give up 107.
They gave up 104 points. I think that's the first time all season they've given up 100. So hopefully it stays like that. But you never know.
I don't like to see hundos unless they're in my wallet. And that was not a good hundo to give up for sure. We asked head coach Nikki Blue, what were her thoughts on the recent performances. The Mercury dropped to 1-12 on the road this season.
Yeah, I think the first thing is to identify what is our travel woes, what's going on the road, and why we're having such a tough time. But then again, I don't think it's that deep. Everyone in the league has their woes on the road and has trouble. So our focus this week is to just be more connected. That was our word of the day, is get connected, and stay connected on the road, on the court, off the court. When you're at these hotels by yourself in the arena and it's just you 10, 12 out there, we have to really just work together and focus on each other, encourage each other, be there for each other. So that's kind of been our focus.
So what do you think when you hear that? Does that give you any kind of hope?
No, no, straight up no. Okay. Listen, I empathize with the fact that she's a coach thrust in to a very difficult position midway through the year. I empathize with that. I do. However, you can't sit there and tell me that, every team has their struggles on the road. Not like this, they don't. Not the good teams don't. Playoff teams don't. Now, if you want to compare yourself to some of the worst teams in the league, then go right ahead. But that's not what the Mercury standard is. Like, they're a traditional playoff team. They've won 3 championships. They don't drop their level because other teams do the same thing too. Like, that's just not how it is. So, number one, I don't like that. Number two, I feel like this team, you're starting to realize, like, there's just, I think it's a mixture of a lack of, chemistry at a high degree, but also a lack of athleticism. I think they suffer from a lack of athleticism across the board. And it's holding them back. I mean, Jesus, I feel like Clea Cooper just scored again right now as we speak. And she's a fierce competitor. Yeah. And she showed that against us a couple years ago in the finals. And she's doing it. She did it again yesterday against us. Like, so there's got to be some adjusting here. And I understand that Brittany Griner being out of the lineup is a significant, that game changes if Brittany Griner's in that game, because they don't get nearly as many easy looks at the cup as they did yesterday. But they're still 1-12. Last win coming in against Indiana. Yeah. And that was
2 months ago.
That was a while back. Yeah. And so something's got to change. You got to mix it up. I don't know if it's the breakfast or if it's the smoothie or what, but something's got to change.
Maybe they might need some pre-workout. Who
Maybe
knows?
Something.
They might need a spark somewhere. But I will say this. I love the point you touched on with athleticism, because they don't have any at all. And look, Van Gustafson, I think for probably 3 or 4 or 5 like possessions, played like good defense against Kalea Copper going to the basket, but she's just too athletic where she could literally get the ball and bring it up here and bring it back down. And it's like, you can't stop that. Yeah. And so many times they just attacked the basket and got right by somebody. And I don't know if that's their identity, if that's what they're looking to do, if they want people that could. We still don't even know where we are with this team, and it's it's July 31st, man. Like I don't even know what to say.
I know where we're at.
Tell them, Saul, where are we?
We're tanking for Caitlin.
Yeah,
baby.
There we
That's
go.
it. Let's get it.
Come on.
Or we need more buckets from Beckers. That's what we need. Buckets for Paige Buckets. Let's go.
There you go.
Buckets for buckets.
Ooh.
So yeah, I listen. I agree. I think honestly at this point you kind of just feel like let's just get through the season. Let's throw people out there. Let's get them familiar with what we're trying to do, and really get them some reps. But outside of that, you're hoping to make a little bit of history with DT, which we'll get to in a little bit. But this season is starting to feel kind of lost. At this point, it looked like coming out of the All-Star break, maybe not. Oh, hey, maybe they're going to make a pretty crazy run, and it went up and then it came back down, and it's been that way for a minute.
It's so weird though, because I understand. You play in front of the X Factor. It's almost like it's about 9,000 to 10,000 people every single game, but still, like. Just from a competitive standpoint, I almost don't understand how, like, I feel like people would actually almost like want to play better on the road because they have that, like, hey, I'm going to go out and prove to these people that, like, we're good. Like, we're good players. We're a good team. Like, we're here, and we're here to kind of like almost play the villain role, which is weird because that's kind of notorious of this Mercury team for the last decade or so. And it's just, they don't have that. I mean, not to say that Chicago doesn't have a good fan base, but like compared to the X Factor, like we're talking 3,000 or 4,000 people. And, normally you would go in and be like, okay, I got something to prove. I'm going to make a splash. These people are going to know who I am. And it just hasn't been like that everywhere they've went. And, BG's in a lot of these places for the first time. You would hope that in some ways it would actually spark the team like, okay, like this is your first game back here in over a year. Let's make it memorable in a good way. Let's not make it memorable in the bad way.
Yeah.
But they're not playing for something. Like what are they playing for?
Pride.
Where is it?
I don't know. I was watching it run by them on the way to the basket last night.
Yeah.
Far too many times. That's where I saw that. So listen, I players like DT have pride. They want to try and perform. And to your point, they were scoring fairly well last night. But again, defensively, without BG in there, man, it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. But one player that has stepped up their game of late is Megan Gustafson. And she's kind of, she's kind of playing up to the level of what everybody anticipated her ability would be coming out. And I think, she had 17 points last night, first start, and then 19 points the game before that against Atlanta on Tuesday. So back-to-back solid games. She's starting to put it together, and hopefully that's a precursor for the rest of the season. But let's ask Megan herself how she feels about her own performance of late.
Oh, no. I mean, a lot of people say that post players, it's a dying game. It's not. I can definitely say that. It's really fun to be able to have confidence in my abilities. And I know BG obviously has amazing abilities and be able to watch and learn from her. And the guards are confident in us right now. So we just got to keep that up, keep it going, and just trust in our abilities. I mean, I've been doing this a long time. This is not anything new for me. Just no one's been able to see it until recently.
She's like, I've been here. I've been doing this. You guys just didn't know I could do this. And so now she's playing up to that ability. What do you think about her recent, kind of trend up?
It was a matter of time. I'll say it until the league expands, but like, this is the reason why I advocate so much for league expansion, because you have players like her that are just sitting on the bench that aren't playing meaningful minutes because they can't. They're not able to. And you put them in a good situation like this, like, hey, we need you to play 27 minutes. We need you to play 30 minutes. And you don't win a Naismith trophy by being terrible. You just don't. I mean, I think she's either still or she's second in Iowa school history for scoring. She's their all-time leading rebounder. Like, she was fantastic. She was, and she still is, but a lot of the game now is so reliant, not just WNBA, but NBA too. It's so reliant on athleticism and just length. And you have people like her that bring back that traditional game. And if you're great at it, like what she is, they don't know how to defend it.
Yeah.
She went over to Greece, won a Greek championship in the EuroLeague, and averaged, I think, the most amount of points in the EuroLeague playoffs as a whole. I mean, we're talking players like Breonna Stewart, DeWanna Bonner, Alyssa Thomas, Jonquel Jones, Chelsea Gray, etc. I could go on and on. Like, she's been here. It's just more about like, okay, let me get my moment, let me have mine, and honestly, make her the first person off the bench.
Yeah,
because she's go-to offense. Get her the ball. She's improved her shot from three. I know the percentages this year have been down compared to last, but so much of her shot selection this season has been inside the paint compared to last season. I mean, even last night's game, she shot 2 of 3 from 3, and that's a threat.
Yeah.
Not to say BG can't do that, but you could put Megan out on the floor and it changes the spacing dynamic. There was a lot of entry passes, a lot of her operating out of the high post, and I don't want to say she's BG 2.0, but she brings a lot of that similar skill set.
I mean, she's a solid player. She always has been. Mm-hmm. She just didn't get an opportunity, like you said, to kind of display that. And so now she's getting her opportunity. You can get an opportunity to have fun yourself. Maybe it's not on the basketball court, but it's at home with using these fine people over here at OG's. Mm-hmm. You see that sign right behind Hayden said, OG's Brands is the best edible in the game. Check them out at ogsbrands.com for the nearest dispensary near you. They have so many different flavors of gummies, but the ones that they really want us to highlight are obviously the fruits and the creams. And the creams just hit the market a couple weeks ago. Same thing with the fruits. Fantastic flavor. It's one of the few edibles that you'll take, that you'll consume, that will not taste like THC or CBD, which is great. It's but they're just as potent, and they're highly, highly enjoyable. And you can check it out by going to ogsbrands.com. Also, you must be 21 and over to enjoy, and please enjoy responsibly. So,
I might need one of those for the next Mercury game I watch.
Maybe it does enhance the experience. I did think that the Mercury were going to come back halfway through that third quarter until I realized that I was just high. So, I will say this about the Merc. Despite everything that's going on, the great thing about having legends on your team is there seemingly is always a reason to celebrate something.
Yep.
And we are 47 points away from celebrating the first WNBA player in history to score 10,000 points in their career in the name of Diana Taurasi, the GOAT, DT.
Yep.
She's been incredible. Last night she had 24 points, was hitting some deep threes. You just love the swag. That's what she's always had. She's always played with that. But as we're getting near something like this, such a monumental feat, how do you feel about this? What is your old takeaway on that?
It's awesome. It's history. DT's very subtle though, and sometimes I wish she wasn't, because I'm like, you're about to do something that nobody else has ever done before. Yeah. Like, I mean, even 2 years ago, she was awarded literally the WNBA GOAT award. Like, I don't know what else to say. I mean, she's broken almost every single record. She could keep doing it as long as she wants to. But for her, and the clip that we'll play here soon, we'll explain a little bit of it. It's just that she just plays the game for fun. Like, that's really it. She doesn't, for her, it's more of like, okay, if I get the record, sweet, but if I don't, it's whatever. It's just more so like she wants things to happen naturally. And she even explained a little bit more detail than I did about what it would mean for her to hit 10,000 points.
Not really. I want it to really just happen organically. When it comes, it comes, and it'll be a great achievement for our organization, for women's basketball. And like I said, I just, hope it's nice and round for the next person to break it.
One of the things I appreciate about DT is that she respects the game.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I detest about DT is sometimes I just want her to talk her shit. I just want her to tell it like it is. Say it's okay to say that you're the greatest player ever,
Mm-hmm.
and nobody else can come close. Like, it's just facts. Like, but it's funny is like, if you ever met her off camera, she knows.
Oh yeah,
she knows.
She's got that. She's got that bravado. She's got that swagger.
Dude, she's like, I told her a couple years ago. I met her when I was at Valley Sports Arizona, and we were doing a media day, and it was the first time I got a chance to meet her. There's like 3 athletes in the world that are still alive that if I met, I probably would have just lost it.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is Michael Jordan, one of them is Tiger Woods, and the other one is DT. And I got to meet DT, and I swear I was just like speechless because she's just so dope.
Yeah.
She's just so cool. So I hope she gets that record. I assume that she will. She has a year and some change to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So she has a whole nother season left. So that's good. But man, it would be so nice if these games were a little bit more meaningful.
Yeah.
For that to happen.
Yeah. I've got a little fun story too about DT, just kind of echoing off of what you said. Literally, so when I covered the team for the first time, like last season, it took me like 3 separate home games to actually like speak to her. I was so nervous. I've watched you my entire life. I'm thinking, like, she's, my friends give me flack for this. Like, I think Espo and I both agree she's the greatest athlete in the state's history in terms of accolades, awards, championships, and I'm like, wow, you're literally like 10 feet away from me. This is kind of surreal. And I asked her a question. It was like about a scuffle she got into, and she made a joke with me, like literally the first time. And she's like, that's a UConn and Notre Dame rivalry, but you're too young for that. And just snuck it so subtly in. And I was like, what? And and she was joking, and she's like, who's that young kid, as she's walking out. And I'm like, wow, I'm like, that's kind of surreal. And then now it's just like, she sees me, like, she's like, hey, what's up? How's it going? Found out she's playing on a broken toe, which makes, I think, that 24 points all the more impressive. But, she knows who she is.
Yeah.
She knows how great she is. But it's one of those where she doesn't have to say anything to really do it. And so I hope that she doesn't drop 47 points tomorrow on the road, because that would suck. I would love to see that in person. But, I mean, it's just a testament to how great of a person she is. And just, if anybody's deserving of this award, of this milestone, it's her.
Oh, yeah, for sure. You mentioned it, you hope she doesn't drop it on the road. They are coming home soon. But before we get to that, you see this fantastic shirt.
Oh, yeah.
That Hayden is wearing.
Yeah.
This is our new Mercury shirt. You should go check it out at the PHNX locker. Folks, we have a brand new website. It just launched this morning. You should go check it out. Go PHNX.com. Become a diehard. Get yourself a free shirt like this one. Or we have another one that kind of looks like DT, but it's not a DT shirt. But, copyrights. So check it out, and also check out all our other cool stuff. You get 20% off of all our merch. You get hooked up on events. You get inside access to a lot of different things, in addition to the content that we provide, some of it behind a paywall, some of it for our valuable followers. So please become a diehard. Check it out at the Go PHNX locker. Hayden, we have a very important stretch coming up. If there's anything is going to be salvaged from this season, it's got to be now, and it's got to be during this next homestand. 3 of the 4 opponents are Eastern Conference teams.
Yep.
And they are coming home they begin tomorrow, a 4 out of 7 day stretch where they play 4 games in 7 days.
Yep.
Which to me, can I get more of, please? Because I don't like the 5-day layoff in between games. It's so
don't
brutal.
get me started. My fantasy team also hates it. They're not the biggest fans, but yeah, it's annoying. But what needs to be salvaged from it? I mean, just be competitive, right? Like, you're playing Connecticut again. They, that was a very fun game to watch. Honestly, maybe like their best from start to finish, because like I think Connecticut had 1 lead, and it was within the first 2 minutes of the first quarter.
Okay.
And Connecticut's a really good team. Mind you, they don't have Bree Jones, who's out with a ruptured Achilles. She's out for the year. But still, you have AT, DeWanna Bonner. It was really competitive basketball at a high level, too. You're playing Washington, I believe, which they still don't have Elena Deladon. And they don't have Ariel Atkins. Like, you need to win that game. These games are winnable.
Yeah.
They really are. And it's especially Seattle. They've dropped 2 in a row against Seattle, and that needs to change. Last time that they played Seattle was, unfortunately, the last time that Vanessa Nygaard made an appearance as head coach. So hopefully you can rewrite the ship with that. But just keep building an identity. They're competitive, but they do struggle in a lot of areas. You said athleticism, I think, is the best. That's why I'm so high on Michaela Onyewere. Yeah. She's like maybe the most athletic person on the team.
She had a decent game. Shooting wise, you could look at it and be like, but she still dropped 18 points. Yeah. She had a good, solid game. She was athletic. She was aggressive. Mm-hmm. I liked what she had to do.
Yeah, I mean, and you need like players like her, in my opinion, are such a cheat code because it's like you're too big for a guard, but you're too quick for a forward. And they just, like we've harped on, they need that athleticism. They just need her to sort of get back into it. And even Nikki Blue talked about, when Michaela is, on it like that, like, we feel we can beat anybody.
Yeah.
And, granted, yes, they had 104 points dropped on them. And not one player was pleased about, because I'm like, you guys play well offensively. And they're like, oh, well, we allowed 104 points. Yeah. That's unacceptable.
Yeah.
But just make the most of the opportunity. And this team loves to play. If they lose one game and they only have a day, let's say they play on Thursday. And then let's say they lose and then they play on Saturday, they love that stuff because it doesn't give them time to dwell on it. It doesn't give them time to think about it. But this is the moment. If you're going to make any kind of a run, this is the time to do it.
Mm-hmm. This is it. If it is, you probably have to win all 3 games of your homestand.
All 4.
4?
Yeah.
You probably have to keep yourself in contention for a playoff spot. If you go anything worse than 2-2, I think that's a wrap.
Yeah. And I think, don't be surprised if you see, players with extended rest. And especially towards the latter portion of August, if that happens. But they play Atlanta. Atlanta's a good team. It was a competitive game, but but BG should be back for that. You play Seattle. That should be a winnable game, regardless of how great Jewel Lloyd might perform. It's just her and Ezzy Magbagor, and that's kind of it. But last time they played, Sammy Whitcomb had like 6 threes on Phoenix, which was not ideal. So you have Atlanta, you have Seattle, and then you have Washington on that the following week. So next Tuesday. Again, they don't have Elena Deladon for Lord only knows how long. And then Connecticut again. Yeah. So, next week is going to be tough. But if you could win the first 2, that'll give them some good momentum going into it. But, yeah, if there's a time, the time is now. But if they don't, tanking for Caitlin.
There you go. Taking for Caitlin.
Let's make it happen. Or what'd you say earlier?
Paige Beckers.
Yeah.
She could probably come out. Buckets.
That's right.
Buckets for buckets.
Paige Buckets.
There you go. So, hey, listen. Hopefully they can reel this thing in and get back on the right track starting tomorrow. Mm-hmm. But it's a long road and it's not going to be easy. And in the meantime, we'll always be here. That's the most important part. We'll be here every single Monday, especially every single Monday, especially at 5:00, especially for sure. Okay. Sorry about the inconsistency of the last couple of weeks. It's been kind of crazy. But we are back. We are going to do this consistently. We'll be here every Monday at 5:00. But for right now, check out the show. Follow the show at PHNX_Mercury.
You won't regret it.
Give us a thumbs up and a like. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. It helps us for sure. And then you can follow my man Hayden Silly at Hayden Silly on Twitter. God, on X, on Twitter, on X, whatever you want to call it.
No more bird.
He's on X. I'm on X. You can follow me at Saul_Bookman. Until next time, folks, keep cheering for your team because it'll get better at some point.